Hello everyone, my name is Mike Smith, also known as ScreamingJoypad. It is Thursday, it is 9 p.m. GMT, and it is time for another GOG podcast, the GOGCast. So, firstly, thank you very much Darksaber2k for streaming Into the Stars just previous to the GOGCast stream. It is a very interesting looking game, and as he has mentioned several times on the stream prior to this one, around the digital table tonight is actually we're actually joined by one of the developers. So if I get this right, this is Ben Jones. This is development director at Fugitive Games. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Excellent stuff, lovely. Right, so who else have we got around the table tonight? We have got the one and only Space Master himself. We couldn't really do it Into the Stars stream without Mr. Space Knight himself. Memories in 8-bit. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, I'm overloaded with joy to be here tonight.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I know. I promised I would do that.
Also, first and foremost, I'd just like to have a quick shout out to Mega Pieman PhD for filling in for me last week. And the reason I'm mentioning him is because I'm now going to use an in-joke that he has created when I introduce one of our other enigmatic streamers, TheCroxxx.
Yeah, hello. I'm here again.
It's always a pleasure.
Spontaneous, I guess.
It is never a chore to have you on here. It is always a pleasure. And of course, just because I want to mix things up a little bit, and this is just the sort of thing I like to do every now and then, we've got one of our fantastic and diligent modding community here with us tonight. We have Senteria. Thank you very much, Senteria, for joining us this evening.
It's an honor to be here, really.
Oh, it's an honor. I love when people say that. Strokes my ego. Okay, cool. So I want to skip straight into talking about Into the Stars. Oh, sorry. First and foremost, don't forget you can check out all the DRM-free related information by typing in GOGCom into any of your social media channels. So that's basically Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram. Don't ask why we've got an Instagram account. So yeah, GOGCOM into all of that social media goodness, and you'll get some DRM-free goodness. Don't forget also that the GOGCast is also available for download and listening on SoundCloud, which is SoundCloud/GOGCom. And also don't forget to follow GOGCom Twitch on Twitter for your streaming-related information. And of course, GOG.com for all your DRM-free games. I think that's all the stuff I need to say. There's a lot of GOG and a lot of DRM-free in there. Yeah, anyway, Into the Stars. Right. I know very, very little about Into the Stars other than what I've just watched on Darksaber's stream. It's been released very recently on, obviously, other platforms and GOG. But I want Mr. Jones, Benjamin Jones, if you will, sell it to me. Give me the sales pitch.
Well, the pitch for Into the Stars, it's a space exploration and survival game set in Unreal Engine 4. So it's a beautiful and vivid world, really, really massive universe. And for anybody familiar with the concept of a game, say like FTL or Oregon Trail, where you set out on a journey, you establish yourself early on, and you make some choices, and then you set off on your way, and everything starts to fall apart from there, and you're doing your best to struggle and survive. That's exactly the kind of experience that we're pushing forward into the Stars.
I have just noticed Oregon Trail. Now that's the reason why we can get space diarrhea in this game. I just noticed that.
Yes,
I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
There's a lot of backs to that game. You know, it's a huge influence on us. And I mean, I don't know if it's the same in Europe, but in the States, we all grew up playing that game in school. And it's something that we really wanted to bring back because this is a game at the end of the day. It's for all ages and really approachable in that way. And we wanted to insert as many references to not only Oregon Trail, but Star Trek and Battlestar and other really familiar aspects of the space genre to kind of have fun with it. So there's a lot of little things like that woven in the game.
Makes sense.
Excellent. I like the fact you said both Oregon Trail and also FTL because that was basically two of the things that kind of came to mind when I was watching the stream. And again, I'm more than happy to admit that I went in kind of blind into that stream. And obviously, having yourself on the GOGcast, I've watched like the trailer and I've looked up what the game is and that sort of thing. I've done a little bit of research, which in fairness is a lot more than I normally do. I'm happily open to say that. But yeah, I like the fact. Is it basically? Do you just basically have like a run through the game, like a procedurally generated run, and then you can do as many runs as you want, or is it just basically like how is it structured? Is what I'm trying to say. I think.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. It's very much a game about runs. The intention isn't for people to complete it on a single run. That's going to be pretty challenging, especially on the harder difficulty. If you go to Pursuit, that's going to be a really, really tough challenge. So the objective is to get through multiple play sessions where you're discovering the world, you're plotting a course, and you're getting better as a captain in terms of making decisions. Right. The game is a lot about choice and decision making as a captain. Do I explore this planet? What crew members do I put at risk? Do I have time to put people into sickbay or to deal with issues on my ship, or should I focus them, on other tasks? Like, do I keep them available for combat? So there's a lot of choices that you're making all the time, and a lot of it is about resources, to be honest. So one of the biggest things in the game is really bouncing between different points of interaction, whether that's planets, gas clouds, derelict ships. Different kinds of loot crates. You're moving through the world trying to collect as many resources as possible because you have a ton, 10,000 to be exact, civilians on board your ship that you need to keep alive and healthy. So it's a little different in that way. It's not, a lot of people have compared it to FTL in the press, and though there's certain comparisons to be made there, our game is much more focused on survival and resource collection than just combat.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we have noticed in the stream that the combat is a little bit less involved than in FTL. Yeah, the comparisons between FTL happen all the time, and but I see that a lot of people criticizing it by just plainly comparing it to FTL, but I personally I'm still very much fascinated with the game. I haven't made the decision to buy it just yet, but it's me that is getting very much overwhelmed by complicated game mechanics, which is the reason why I'm never playing strategy games. So the game has its fascination for me because it's also very immersive, and it seems like a game I can actually manage. So there's that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. One thing that's great about our game is that on the surface, combat might seem simplistic in terms of matching frequencies and switching between your different battle stations and trying to time that correctly. But there's a lot going on there too. I mean, you have the ability to repair your ship mid-combat and also make enhancements to some of your systems. So you may choose to do that in the middle of battle, and a lot of times you might need to. There's some depth there to be sure. We've got a number of different enemies that present a number of different challenges. So as you move through the world, you'll face different types of ships. They're progressively more difficult as well. So there's definitely some depth there. But the point for us was not to make it all about combat, where you're just you're facing a fight every 30 seconds. For us, it was more about, okay, let's give time for people to explore the game. Let's get time for them to collect resources. And the longer they're focusing on that thing, okay, then we'll force some combat into them to kind of incentivize them to keep moving forward.
Sounds cool. I've got to admit, from what I've seen, I'm interested in regards to, and you can probably help me with this, Mr. Jones, how the combat actually works, because I had the stream on kind of on one monitor, and as many people do, I was watching live streams on one monitor and only kind of half watching it, and now I was also doing work on another monitor. So I'm interested. I didn't quite catch how the combat works.
Right, so the combat is basically set up, you have 4 battle stations. So you've got your lasers, your torpedoes, your shields, and then a medic/evade position. So you have 6 different crew members to choose from, and you want to place them in those categories based on the required skill set. So whether that's engineering or command or medical, that'll facilitate performance in each of those areas. So combat is real time, but you have the ability to pause and manage the moment at any point. So if an enemy is charging up their weapons, you may want to pause and say, okay, let me see what kind of weapon he's charging up here. What decisions do I want to make? And basically, you're trying to break down combat into 2 components: what the enemies are firing at you, and when, and also what shield frequency that they have currently. So those are the 2 biggest ones that you're trying to break down. And then, of course, there's multiple modules on enemy ships. So you could target the hull if you want, but you also have the ability to target their shields or their weapons. You take down their shields, obviously you can do much more damage. If you take down their weapons, it gives you a greater opportunity to kind of pick and choose your targets. Very useful when facing multiple. So that's the gist of combat. You're really trying to match the frequency of your enemy when they're firing firing at you or evade, and then vice versa, you're trying to mix up your frequency so that you can actually penetrate their shields when they're active.
I see. That does sound interesting. I'm very. I kind of want to play it now. To be perfectly honest, I think the way people kind of sort of said, "Oh, it's a bit like FTL." I think it's like a fair comparison, but I think that's an easy comparison to make. Right? I think there's quite a few different layers to Into the Stars as well. I'm also interested on how the mining mechanic works as well. Could you go into a little bit more detail about the mining mechanic? Because it looks super interesting, but I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different components at play there in terms of gathering resources. So the main mechanic, obviously, is the mini game that a lot of people have shown, which is you send down a mining rig to the surface of a planet. You're physically moving the drill, trying to gather as many resources as possible and avoiding areas that will damage your drill. So that's one way of gathering resources. Another is to just simply send down a probe, which is kind of quick and dirty. Anyone who's played Out There will kind of recognize that mechanic where you shoot a probe down, it collects a certain amount of non-specified resources and comes back. That's more the quick and dirty, like either you don't have the resources to go on a mining journey, or you're being hunted down by the Scorn and you need to leave this certain area. And so we'll talk about that later. But there's a couple of different ways to do it. You can also, mine gas clouds. You can get resources as a reward for destroying enemy ships. You can trade resources with other alien races. So lots of different means of procuring the resources that you need to perpetuate the journey. And the mining mini game is just one of them. So some people say I don't like mini games. I just like exploration. Cool. Like that's not a problem. There are a lot of different ways for you to gather resources in the game.
Cool, excellent stuff. We've got our first question from chat actually. Sherry and Radake asks, ScreamingJoypad question: what was the reasoning for having? Oh, I missed it. Sorry, apologies. Question: what was the reasoning for having to manually pilot a ship versus, say, a node-based or autopiloting system?
Right. Well, we felt that was the best way of taking advantage of the world. We really wanted to give players the ability to steer in certain directions, combined with the fact that creating a navigational system in the engine and the way that we have it structured would have been extremely challenging. We're just 4 people, so looking at that task, I mean, that would have taken us 3-4 months easily. It would have been a big one, and it really would have changed the entire shape of the game. For us, it's about manual movement and finding your way through the universe and doing things like backtracking and maneuvers through asteroid fields and minefields and avoiding enemy patrols and stuff like that. And all that really goes out the window when you've got a node-based system. But to answer your question, I think what's interesting from a technical perspective is that the ship is basically an entire level. So imagine the level is this ship, right? And we've got this world sphere around it that is attached to the ship, and then content is streaming in and out of your quote-unquote level. So there's no possibility to node pathfind when everything exists outside of the level, if that makes sense. We're moving a giant level through an empty void. It's kind of crazy. It's not. There's no real examples of this in Unreal or anything else. We went way out on a limb to do this and make it different. So for us, it made sense to stick with the manually controlled flight.
I like the idea of being able to sort of manually pilot my ship through, if that makes sense. So are you basically, you're given almost a final destination and you just kind of have to make your way there, but you've got resources and planets scattered around and you sort of go, oh, I'm kind of close to this planet, I'll go have a look here, or there's something over here I can go and explore, that sort of thing. I like
right.
that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that there's 90 world tiles in the game, right? And each of them are 1 million kilometers, so they're pretty large. So as you're moving through them, it's really up to you, which direction you want to take. And at any point, I mean, there's a number of different things that are coming into your point of view, whether that's a star in the distance or a number of different planets you could explore, or wreckage, or alien ships tracking you down. There's all kinds of different things that are coming into your view at any moment that you say okay, I'm going to adjust course, I want to go here, or I'm going to avoid this area now, I'm going to steer left. And it's a really wide map, so it's really up to you what course you want to take. And every path you take is going to be different. If you tried to just plow straight ahead, you're going to go into the densest area of the game that already has predefined threat levels and dozens of enemy patrols. So that's going to present a much greater challenge than perhaps like skirting around the sides or darting back and forth. So it's really about what you want to do. And to take a moment and talk about the tiles that I was mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah.
That's, again, anyone who's familiar with FTL is kind of familiar with that push mechanic that they have in the game, right? Where that's after a certain amount of time in a zone, you have a wave that kind of pushes you out of that area. Ours is similar, except that it's not a giant wave, it's tile-based. So it's purely dependent on the sector that you're in currently. So how long I'm there dictates how much of a threat I'm facing from my enemy. In this case, the alien race called the Scorn, which are the ones tracking you down. They're the ones that destroyed your home planet and are pushing you to find a new home.
Mm-hmm. Are they the only antagonists in the game?
No, actually, there's another alien race called the Menket, and they are a race of pirates. So they cloak themselves as traders. They look like friendly trade ships when you approach them. The similar experience as a trade ship because it's unknown, only to have them ambush you and then make demands of you. So you can choose to give them what they're asking for, which can be anything from resources to civilians, or fight them. Which is a challenging fight. They've got really powerful torpedoes. So those are the two races that you're really worried about in the game. And there's also two friendly alien trading races, although they want very different things. And for interaction, you'll see a particular race is happy to trade with you, and they generally just want resources, whereas another race called the Glubdon, really the only thing that they want from you is human beings because they find them to be delicious. So everything else, you can have a negative trade carry, right? Where I could trade 1 hydrogen for 4 nitrogen. It's not a good deal, but if I give them humans, they'll give me whatever I want. So up to you. Obviously, human beings have a huge impact on your final score. So it really depends on how sinister of a captain or how desperate a captain you happen to be.
Are there any repercussions for you being particularly morally bankrupt, shall we say? So if you just sell off a lot of your humans or sell off a lot of your civilians, are there any major repercussions, or does it just make you feel a bit nasty inside? Oh, there are.
There are two. There are two, in fact. The first is going to be immediate, which is that you have the 10,000 civilians up on your ship that I mentioned earlier. As soon as you start trading civilians away, they're going to become very unhappy.
Understandable.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a scaled down, simplistic version of SimCity in the back of your ship. So you've got a major city with 10,000 people in the back that comes with all the problems that you would deal with of a city of that size, right? So when people start getting unhappy, they start rioting. They'll start looting. They'll start doing a number of different things that can really make your journey difficult. So as soon as you start trading human beings away, they're going to become really unhappy, and that means you're going to have to start assigning crew members to deal with issues that they come up, like a fire in the streets, or them starting to steal resources from storage bays, all kinds of repercussions there. And then on the other side, civilians are a major part of your final score. So if you do reach your end goal of Titus Nova, if you decided to sell a couple thousand civilians to get the resources you need, it's going to have a big impact on your score. So certainly something to think of, a couple of different facets.
You just get there's just your crew and 5 people left.
Yeah, your score would be pretty tough.
You've got loads of stuff.
What are your chances of perpetuating the human race if it's your 5 crew members who are half dead and then a couple of remaining civilians? You'll have 2 or 3 babies. It's not looking good for you. Honestly.
I don't know. That sounds good.
Well, it depends on. I suppose it depends on your perspective, really, doesn't it? It'll be fun for a while.
I'm definitely not surprised anymore why Darksaber just got a D ranking by surviving with 1,500 civilians or something like that.
I saw him. He's like, wait, they eat humans? I didn't realize this. Why am I shipping off humans?
Yeah, you definitely have to watch out for the Glubdon. They're not just taking your human beings as slaves. They're going to eat them.
Yeah, that's a lot of slaves. So we've got another question from chat. So which one was it? Where is it? Admiral Doc asks, question for Ben. How do you explain the ship dodging sideways like that, and why is it the most overpowered defense move?
Well, I don't know that I'd say it's overpowered necessarily. I think it's something that we really wanted to introduce because, the shields, for instance, are only able to block a single frequency. Moreover, there's multiple types of enemy weapons that you could be facing. So in a certain area, say when you're recharging your shields or when you're facing multiple enemies, we wanted to give players an opportunity to use something that would push them out of the realm of all enemy weapons. So it doesn't matter what frequency, it doesn't matter what what type of weapon is coming at you. If you push this, you're going to get out of the way for a limited amount of time. Now, in terms of it being quote unquote overpowered, I would agree. I think it does need a little bit more tuning right now. So I think we're going to look at the recharge rate on that. But otherwise, I think it's a great addition to combat. In terms of how does the ship move that way, for the instance of combat, we've got very, very powerful lateral thrusters. Your engines are off during combat, so you're pushing all of your power into these thrusters that move you from side to side that then need to recharge over time. So that's the thinking behind it.
Okay, well, hopefully that has answered your question, Admiral Doc. I didn't realise it was an actual, I didn't realise that your sort of dodge move, it was a case of, it makes sense that the dodge move is quite overpowered because if you don't take the damage, then you don't take the damage. It's not a case of, I'm now protected against rockets or missiles or lasers. It's a case of it just didn't hit me at all. I suppose maybe if you're able to spam that, then maybe that's a bit of an issue, but other than that, I completely get it. We've got another question. G Pudding, one of our long-standing community members, asks a bit of a jokey question. Ask the dev dude, how many coffees and pizzas did it take to make the game, and also how many times did the team have to watch Battlestar Galactica? Now, not specifically that question, but I am interested in regards to any media you use as inspiration. So, games, books, movies, TV shows, that sort of thing. What sort of things kind of inspired Into the Stars?
Yeah, totally. I mean, a lot. Obviously, the games that we mentioned earlier were a huge influence on us. That was the main impetus for doing this. But all of us grew up as Trek fans. Myself, I started with Next Generation. I grew up watching that as a kid and kind of moved onward throughout the series. After that, I know our art director, Alden, and our creative director were both huge Battlestar fans. So that played a huge role in terms of influencing what we wanted to do, especially with the story, right? There's a lot of parallels there. Moreover, visually, I know Alden has mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy many times. He wanted to create this vivid and dense interpretation of space. It's not like a lot of games where you see a star for 10,000 light years away, and there's nothing else between that and you. There's always opportunities in this game to bounce in different directions and see something both either visually interesting or desirable from a gameplay perspective. So those are definitely some of our biggest ones, I would say. And then we snuck in little references here and there. So as you play the game, you'll definitely notice some call outs to other titles and forms of media. That was a big thing. And then in terms of coffee and pizzas, I don't have a really good number for you. A lot. I know I have 2 or 3 coffees a day. I didn't even drink coffee until maybe 6 months before we started this, and now I have a problem. But,
it's okay. This is a safe place to admit your addiction. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
he says, right. Surrounded by caffeine drinks.
I promise. It's fine. I'm happy to do it. It's a good break, honestly. I think one thing that is really interesting about working from home, we all work remotely. We don't have an office. We just work at our living rooms, and is getting out of the house, forcing yourself to get up and walk out and take a break, because it's really easy. We work 10, 12, 14 hours a day. It just depends on what's going on, but we're working all the time, and you've got to take a break. And
you
honestly,
don't feel it as well, do you? You don't feel it for 3 days, and suddenly you're just oh God, it's Wednesday.
Yeah, no, today's Thursday. I can't believe it. It's I'm totally not ready for GDC, and I have to leave in 48 hours. So, there's a lot of stuff to do. But for me, it's really about taking breaks, and coffee's a really good excuse for that. But I would advise anybody who's going into indie game development, force yourself to take a break, whatever it is, even if it's just you getting up and walking around. I think it's invaluable.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's good advice, to be perfectly honest with you. Anybody who works in a home or even an office based sort of environment, just getting up and taking a break. It's good for sort of gets your creative juices flowing as well. You can start to see things from new angles, which is pretty cool.
But what I wanted to know,
sorry.
Okay.
No, please.
What I wanted to know, if you work like remotely from home, which I assume, is it hard to stay focused, to stay, having the discipline to work and not get distracted by daily things at your house if you don't have an office to go to where you say like, okay, now I'm in work mode?
Yeah, I think that's a really reasonable question. I know for some of us at the start, that might have been the case for like the first couple of weeks, but I would attribute that more to an adjustment than anything else. All of us have been in game development for over 10 years. So, it's at this point, it's, we're used to it. We're happy to just go for it all day. But, on the other side, the freedom of working at home is that even if those things came up as distractions or things you needed to do, now you can go and do them at any point. At any point during the day, I'll see, a BRB message from somebody on the team where I know they're breaking out to go take care of some stuff and they'll be back. And, we don't have rigid hours. I mean, what people working at 8, 10 at night, whatever it is. I mean, I usually start working at 8 in the morning. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's about getting the work done. So, I mean, for us, there were a little distractions, I would say, at first, just the adjustment of like, oh, I actually live in this home. I forgot that I live here because usually I'm at an office working all the time. But no, I mean, I think we settled in and then it's just a matter of, putting your music on and getting into the zone. It can come up at any time. So you definitely, want to be on the lookout for that. It looks like the stream went down, but I think we'll just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. We're still up. Don't worry about it. Well, we're up at the moment.
Sure. So I mean, there's all kinds of different things that can come up. I know somebody mentioned maybe in a question from Twitch or somewhere else that they were interested about the fuzzy raccoons that can come on your ship.
Where did the raccoons come from?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's the last ship leaving Earth. Obviously, maybe somebody thought it was cute to bring a pet raccoon aboard the ship. And they populated, and then things got crazy. There's all kinds of stuff that can happen aboard that ship. When you have an entire city, it's not like this is just a small starship with you and a couple people. This is a massive floating city, and it comes with all the problems. So, you're dealing with civilians not properly disposing of trash if they're angry, sewer backups, fires. I mean, all kinds of different stuff, from the mundane to the ridiculous. So lots of different things can go on there.
So what's the? I suppose this is a bit of a loaded question because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to offer any spoilers. But what do you think is not the funniest, but probably the most fun disaster kind of element that you've included in the game, like the space dysentery, that sort of thing, or space diarrhea, whichever it was, or the raccoons? Is there anything? Is that the thing that sort of people will look at and go, that's actually really funny and really clever, and I get it? Or is there more ludicrous stuff on there, like accidental space elephants or something like that?
Yeah, well, so I think all the things you're describing are events that take place on your ship, and I think our creative freedom there was really limited because the structure of that is basically confined to a couple of text boxes, right, where we have to try to make that interesting, and that's tough, especially that like a lot of corresponding visuals and everything else to make it really funny. So I think there was a lot more room for humor in the shuttle missions, especially because the results from those come directly from your choices as a captain, right? So with every shuttle mission, you send down your team, you get to choose a location, and at that location there's a single objective, and you've got 3 different ways that you can approach it. Some of those approaches are hilarious, some are aggressive and violent, some are more passive, and the results from each of those are vary wildly. So I think there are a lot there's a lot more humorous ones there. I think one of my favorites is definitely this one called Mystery Box, which we've had really on, but not a lot of people see it, especially now. We've added so many new shuttle missions to the game. There's a couple hundred. So there's this one where it's just a mystery box and there's not a lot of description to it, and it's kind of like, all right, do I check it out? Do I like bring it aboard the ship? Do I poke it with a stick? What do I do, right? And if you make the wrong choice, your entire shuttle crew can die mysteriously. And it's just like there's not a lot of choices, or like you could bring it on board potentially, and then it's like a crazy disease is spreading throughout your civilian city. So beware of objects like that and how you interact with them. There's definitely more than a few.
I can just imagine the description now. You opened the box, there were no survivors.
Yeah, with that, along with eating humans, I think we can also add Lex the Dark Zone as a list of influences to this game, at least to a certain degree.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh man, I remember that.
Lex was great.
Lex
I love
was
that.
Great. Yeah,
that
was really cool. Okay, so we've got another question from chat. Unfortunately, I've cut the name off this one, I'm afraid, so apologies for this, but I wonder whether physically visiting certain parts of your ship was an idea before they decided to go for a more simplified version of windows and menus to navigate / manage the ship, or have they always aimed at the charts and tables design? So was there ever a time when you could physically go around your ship?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, there wasn't. It's something that we explored early on, but a couple of reasons. Obviously, with like only one artist working on the game, creating the amount of 3D geometry that would be needed to support, multiple rooms on a ship, was just too much of a burden. Also, we don't have first-person movement or anything else. Like really, you're seated in the captain's chair. We really wanted you to be rooted in that experience. And we felt like, especially with control of your ship, and lacking the ability to create a true autopilot, the thought of like you pointing your ship in a direction and then like wandering off to go look at the engineering room, meanwhile your ship is just taking massive asteroid hits. And there's a lot of gameplay complications that can come out of that. It's certainly an interesting idea and one we thought of. I think. Looking at it now, I think if we would have changed anything, I think we would have maybe taken a little more influence from FTL in terms of the ship's layout on your screen. So, like an FTL where you're looking at a cut-off top-down view of the ship, all the different areas. We have a half sector of the ship like that, but we really separated crew management from ship management, and I think if we more closely tied those two. You could get a lot more. You could get some really interesting things coming out of that relationship. So perhaps that would be something that we would have gone back and changed. But otherwise, I think the point was to really root you in that experience of the captain, and give you that visual and make you feel like, okay, I'm on the bridge. I'm telling everybody else what to do. They're the ones that are running around doing all this stuff, and I'm here making the tough choices.
Yeah, that's fair enough then. That sort of makes sense. You don't want to be wandering around in the galleys or something like that, and suddenly the ship starts vibrating because it's accidentally wandered into an asteroid field or something like that. You go back and the bridge is just full of aliens.
Right. Which would be hilarious, but that could be a big challenge too. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting development process working with such a small team. I mean, all of us are used to working on games with teams of over 100 people consistently, sometimes 2-3 people. So you have to make your choices really, really delicately. And I think that's one of the things that's been really interesting reading reviews this week is like, we have reviews high as like the mid 90s and there's one in like the 50s, and it's like one that speaks to like how polarizing our game is. Like if you're into a slower space journey that's more about, adventure and exploration and resource gathering, this is your game. If you're into a game that's about constant action and combat, and nonstop stimuli, like this might not be for you. I would definitely recommend Pursuit Mode because there's a lot more of it in that, but it's a different game, and it's been really interesting reading what everybody has to say this week, because a lot of the times what they're saying is, oh, it would be great if this game had X, Y, and Z. Not to say we don't disagree, but it's really difficult to make X, Y, and Z with 4 people. Totally. Especially with a limited budget and amount of time and everything else, like, you do what you can. And I think at the end of the day, we're pretty proud with what we were able to accomplish in essentially a year and a half with 4 people. So,
wow, is that all it took? You've been working on it for about 18 months now?
Yeah, it's about 20. So yeah, that's about right.
That's very impressive. for what I've seen so far. I mean, it's very impressive. And it's still in development. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, we launched last Friday, so almost a week ago. And yeah, in a sense, it's still in development. Like, we're addressing some issues that came out at launch that we didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
Some other stuff that we need to clean up and improve. I mean, there's definitely still room for polish and stuff like that. So yeah, I wouldn't say that development is concluded per se, but I definitely say that it's kind of winding down, and now we're focused on fulfilling other obligations like a Mac release and Kickstarter rewards and stuff. So
yeah. So do you take feedback from the community quite seriously? Is it something that would actually drive certain decisions that you guys would make?
Oh yes, absolutely. That was one of the biggest reasons we went into early access. I think because to be frank, there aren't a lot of games like this, at least modern games. There's a lot of older games like Star Trek Bridge Commander that have a lot in common with our style, but there aren't a lot of modern games that are like this. So for us, getting out there, being a part of both Kickstarter and early access communities and getting their feedback was essential, because we know what we wanted to build, but at the end of the day, it's about what the players want, and getting their feedback and generating additional ideas from that and then integrating into the game was essential. And I think it really helped round the game into form. Again, it's obviously a ton of stuff that we would have liked to do. You can't do everything, but for us, we would read the forums every day, discuss this as a group in our meetings, and make sure that all of that impacted the decisions that we made moving forward.
Yeah. Cool, excellent. So if you've got any suggestions or feedback, then obviously the developers do monitor their forums quite closely, which is good to hear. It's not a rare thing these days, but it's always nice that a development team will actually not only listen to the community, but also take almost a little bit of direction in regards to if, I suppose it's a case of if you do something creative and every single person who gets their hands on it says it would be great if it did this, if one or two people say that, that's fair enough. But if everybody seems to say it, then you're sort of like, oh no, maybe they've got a point. Maybe we should try and do this. I can only imagine what goes through your head when you're sort of flicking through the forum post. I don't know if I could do it, in all fairness.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but I think that's something that you get used to, over the years and in game development, because it's feedback is an essential part of the process. Whether you're in pre-alpha or the game is post-release like we are here. I mean, I think it's essential that we listen to our community and what they're saying. We can't do everything, and there's a lot of off-the-wall suggestions, and there's some amazing ones too. And for us, it's about distilling that into information that we think is actionable, and also just listening to hear what they're saying. Like, you have to read between the lines. Because somebody could say something directly and it's like, well, that's crazy, but what is he really getting at? I bet he's really struggling with this aspect of the game. Maybe we should look at improving that. So I think that's really important, and it's something that we do at the AAA level all the time, and this is just a much different approach to it, a much more open and collaborative approach than you have at the the general professional level.
Cool, excellent stuff. Quickly moving on to one of our other questions from chat. Tikanjia asks, to what extent is the game going to support add-ons and fan-made editions? Is this something you've thought about?
Yeah, we definitely thought about it. Funny enough, like, we had our first mod like the week we came into early access, which was like 9 months ago, and somebody swapped out all our character portraits for Futurama characters, which was amazing. So there are certain aspects of it that are definitely open on the local side. In terms of like Steamworks support and stuff like that, it's stuff that we want to look into, but we have to get through some of the other obligations first, like Mac support, and then clearing out some of the bugs that people have discovered recently. Just trying to clean up the experience for everyone first. But ultimately, like, I come from the mod scene. Like, I totally appreciate everyone's efforts there and what the mod scene can actually do for a game. I mean, it can completely turn it on its head and make it something far more interesting, which I think is amazing. So if we have the ability to do that, we totally will. But again, it's about time and allocating what limited hours we have as a small team. So I hope we can.
One of the questions I always like to ask, just because I'm a software tester by trade, what's the most amusing bug you've found so far, or you've heard of?
Oh man, amusing. Well, it's funny enough. We actually saw one come up on a stream the other day. So the guys from Undead Labs do a stream like every day at lunch, and I think earlier this week they played the game, and they came upon this event called Giant Talking Plant, which is a shuttle mission, and basically you have to decide like, okay, how do I interact with this plant? Do I want to shoot it? Do I want to talk to it? Do I want to give it things? But whatever. So, in one of those descriptions, I think we had a bug where localization came back and it like changed a lot of context on things. And we had instead of flora, which is the like descriptor for different plant species, it was called fauna, which is obviously animals. So like little things like that. And then I looked the other day and I'm like, oh shit, I thought we fixed that. And I looked in and it was like in every language localized. I'm like, no, the worst. So that's like whatever. Maybe that's just funny to me. I think on the other side, we found some crazy stuff where, as a game tester, I'm sure you noticed it's like a lot of the stuff that you guys do is procedural, and you have a lot of different testing methods that you go through, right? And then other times it really feels like you guys are just smashing the keyboard to see what will happen.
That's a valid method, I'll have you know. There are names for
totally,
it.
Totally valid. People with a lot of stuff, it was like, all right, if you press F12 and then smash like spacebar 3 times and press escape at the same time, all while clicking on this one area, then this, you know what I mean? And it's just like, oh my god! Like every time one of those comes up, I'm like, how many people are going to actually do this in the world? Like, probably more than I think.
How many valid testing methods did you skip over in order to find this one where basically you just have to collapse on your keyboard?
On the keyboard, and then all these things happen.
Let's forget the fact that half the spaceship isn't rendered properly, and if I press left twice, I just close the entire program. No. If I press 17 keys at the same time and smash my webcam with my head, then it crashes. Yeah, let's go with that one.
Yep. That's a good one.
See, and I always wondered why things like key ghosting exists on modern keyboards. Now I know why, to prevent bugs like this from happening.
That's literally it.
That actually reminds me of a support ticket when a former colleague told me about. Basically, they worked in tech support, and they one day got a bug report. So basically saying, when I click on the trash bin icon and move it in circles on my desktop for 45 seconds, the computer crashes with the blue screen. That was an actual ticket in tech support.
That guy certainly just had a bet. I can make the whole tech support make their trash bin rotate on the screen for the whole day.
Maybe that's what he was doing.
I guess so. Yeah.
Maybe he's like, now when I walk past to go get my coffee, I'm going to see the entire tech support team just circling their trash can on their desktop. I'm going to catch it on my phone. It's going to be hilarious.
Exactly. That's how you do it.
I smell shenanigans there. I definitely do. I think one of the best ones I heard, and I probably said this on stream before, was I know one of the games testers who tested the demo for Burnout Paradise. I want to say it was a reasonably recent version of Burnout. Essentially, the development studio kind of cut off. It was the whole game, but they kind of put invisible walls around one tiny section for the demo. And one of these games testers basically found this game-breaking bug where if you pressed certain buttons and hit a certain ramp at a specific time, you could just go off and play the entire game.
Oh, I heard about that.
Just for this free downloadable demo, because they hadn't actually taken out any of the code. It was a full release. They'd just sectioned off stuff and taken out cutscenes. That's probably one of the best ones I've heard of so far.
That reminds me actually, when I was little, a friend of mine, he would come over to my house and play games, and I just had the PlayStation 1. And for some reason he managed to break all the demos that we had on a demo CD. Like we had Hercules, and he walked out of the level, sank through the stone. He had a speedboat, a racing game, and he managed to stop the timer. He managed to reverse the speedboat, and he still got first place, and it would just go endless on the loop. And we tried to recreate that over and over, and we still don't know how we did it.
Oh, software tester in the making. Does he want a job? No, it's great. I've got to admit, the some of the times, many a decent memory is when I've been sat around with one or two of my friends, all night gaming session, and you get to that point where you've played basically all the co-op and competitive games you can, and you just start cycling through demos and demo discs when demos used to come on discs and stuff like this, and you just find random bugs, and you're just like, how did this get past anybody? You're just like, if I press this button, this character flies 1,000 feet in the air. It's like the whole Grand Theft Auto swing set thing. It's hilarious. One of the really good questions I like asking. I say it's a really good question. It's good because it's an original one that I thought of ages ago. But
right.
What's the is there anything that you've had to take out of the game that you really regret?
Yeah, a couple of things. I know other people have different things. Obviously, I think mine is in early screenshots, you can see that there's like a 3D rendering of the ship on the bridge that has like it shows the different like status of all the different modules on your ship, and it's just like rotating in 3D on the bridge as you fly around. That's something that we set up like basically as like a visual target and never really were able to push from a gameplay perspective, but I really would have loved to have that. Like, even if we had it now, I would have loved to gone in and like hook it up so that you could track the damage states of your modules in real time without having to like go and look at the engineering screen. Especially during combat, I think it would have been really useful. I mean, that's something that I miss. But leaving stuff on the cutting room floor, I mean, that's just part of game development or in the creative process in general. So it's always tough. There's always things that you want to do, and maybe we'll have time to bring stuff like that back. You never know.
Exciting. It does sound good. Having like a little, almost like a holographic representation of your ship with the damaged sections of it. I think that'd be something quite cool. So we've got a question from Mega Panman PhD, who's also a member of the Stream Team, who simply asks, "Is cannibalism an option?" This is just to give you a little bit of background. Mr. Pieman PhD is actually setting up a list of games that are available on GOG where cannibalism is an option. I don't know why.
Interesting.
We all have our quirks.
Well,
yeah.
It is a little bit of a survival game.
Yeah. It's probably an exclusive list. In a certain sense, yes. I mean, like we talked about earlier, you can give your civilians away knowing full well that they're going to be eaten and consumed. So it's not necessarily you that's consuming them, although you're selling them for consumption, in which case I don't even know what's worse.
So it's basically second-hand cannibalism.
Right. Cannibalism.
Oh, that sounds way worse. That's like someone's handed you a half-eaten leg.
It was only eaten twice before.
Yeah. I've made you a nice pie out of reconstituted human. Here you go. Oh, I don't even know if I can concentrate after that. So hopefully, so I think the answer to the question is sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Hacker4748 asks, what is planned for future development? Is it just bug fixing, or is there anything else? So have you got anything big in the pipeline?
There's a lot, and actually, I'll post this in the chat. So we've had a really cool tool for a while now that I think is awesome, and I would definitely recommend developers to check out. So if you look in the chat stream, I just posted a link to our Trello page. So you can see the public roadmap that we've got set up there. You can see the bugs that we're working on right now, and then all the stuff that's listed under future development, like the Mac release, perhaps controller support, all that stuff. That's all stuff that we would like to do. Obviously, it just depends on a lot of different factors. How the game is selling, are people responding to it, are these things that the community still wants? So. We have to evaluate that stuff all the time. But you can see what we're working on right now, and then some of the stuff that we'll be working on later on this month.
Well, so this is basically live bug tracker and a development blog, pretty much, which is absolutely cool. I like things like that. It's hard to see that outside of open source, and I really like this.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's it's not something that we had from the start. I think we picked it up maybe like the first or second week in early access at a suggestion from the community, I think. And we looked at it and we're like, oh, this is awesome. We should totally do this. It's a great tool for communicating, especially because, if you just go on the forums, like different responses get shuffled down, and you could respond to something, and then a day later, it's already buried.
Yeah.
So having something like this posted at the top that says, "Hey, if you're interested in where the game is headed, like just go to this link, check it out. It's all there." I think it's a great way for the community to get involved, especially because they can vote on any of those things. So like for instance, like you look at future development and stuff like that. There's all these different how many people like it, how many people are interested in seeing that. So that's a really good way for us to judge like the potential popularity of a feature, or like how much people really want to see this sooner rather than later. So that's really cool too. I think it's great. I think it's, regardless of what we do next, I think it's something that I want to integrate from the start for sure.
It's also very great because you have a lot of people often asking like, when is this coming out, or what's taking so long, so they can really see what's going on right now, so they don't have to write posts and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Again, it's like, we have a community manager now. That wasn't always the case, but I honestly, like, communicating and being a part of your community is a full-time job. And as a small team, it's really, really tough. So anything that you can do that, sets it up that the community has access to a lot of the information that they would possibly need, where you don't have to directly communicate with them, will just save you a lot of time too. And that's time that goes back into the game. So I think it's a big win.
Yeah, you're hearing the collective voice rather than the individuals, basically, and that's kind of, sometimes that's what you want to focus on if it's going to drive direction or drive creativity on your end. It's good. I like it. To be perfectly honest, we use it at work sometimes, just for general work management and bug tracking, and also it's quite good for organising social events if people have got different responsibilities, like who's going to buy the pizzas and who's going to buy the beer.
All right. Yeah, it's awesome. You can do whatever you want. They put out a Chrome extension this week where I can just click a button without even having it open and just create a new task like in there immediately. And it's cool. Like a lot of people are using Slack and other different things to use for project management that are all different levels of like Scrum and stuff like that. It's great. I think it's a really good tool.
Cool. We're not sponsored by Trello in any way, shape, or form. Just want to point that out, everyone.
But if Trello wants to sponsor us, they totally can. So hit us up, Trello.
Right. So I'm pretty sure. For the sake of the audio-only listeners and also the video-on-demand listeners, if you check the descriptions of whatever you're listening to at the moment, the Trello link will be in there as well, so you can keep up to date with all of the development work for Into the Stars. So I think that's pretty much it. I think we may have rinsed you for all the information we can, unless, of course, any of the fellow StreamTeam members would like to ask any questions. I'll take your silence as a no.
Can pretty much do that. Yes. It was very, very, very interesting. I probably would have a lot more questions if I would actually have played the game yet, but unfortunately, I think I may be convinced to hit that buy button very soon, as if my backlog wasn't big enough yet.
Right. Yeah. Well, I feel your pain there. I think it's now's a good time. The game is still on sale. We've got a launch discount going on right now. On both on GOG, so you can grab it right there and get it for a good price. There's a ton of information out there, lots of different videos, tutorials. So if you have any questions about the game, absolutely go to the website. Check out our page on GOG. There's a lot of good stuff there, so definitely recommend taking a look.
Absolutely. Just before I let you go, obviously, I did mention the question we got on Twitter earlier, but I never actually asked it. Where do the raccoons come from?
Right. So the raccoons come from Earth, obviously. The whole idea is that any number of things could have been smuggled on board your ship before you were able to depart. And as people know, raccoons, they breed kind of like cockroaches. So having a lot of raccoons terrorizing your garbage supply isn't too far-fetched when you've got a city filled with skyscrapers and 10,000 people in the back of your ship. So definitely lots of interesting things like that to contend with on the journey.
Yeah, understandable.
So basically tribbles.
Yes.
Oh God.
I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah. So you open a hatch and suddenly loads of raccoons just fall out.
Exactly.
Oh, that'd make that scene a lot more violent, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. Lots of angry raccoons falling on you. That's going to be completely different. No, Tribbles didn't have claws. Right. So I think that's about it. Firstly, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Jones. It has been an honour and a privilege. Absolutely best luck from everybody here at GOG and also from the stream team in regards to Into the Stars. For the purposes of everybody listening, you can go and check out Into the Stars now on GOG.com for the humble price of £13 and 59 English pence. I don't know what that is in your fake currency. You need to figure that out yourselves. But it's currently a 9% discount at the moment. So go and definitely check it out on GOG.com. And finally, once again, thank you very much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure, and hope to join you again sometime soon.
Absolutely. You are always welcome. Just hit us up whenever.
All right. Sounds good.
Right.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks so much. Bye.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, so as the show will continue rolling on and we lose one member of the conversation, what I will do is I will just need to rearrange the layout. So I'm going to hand over to Mr. Memories in 8-Bit, who is going to have a bit of a chat in regards to some of the recent things he's been playing. So talk to me, Chris. We've not spoken in ages.
So nice that I get the chance to do that. Well,
Talk about games. Just talk about games.
No. First and foremost, I'm actually still busy playing Super Hot, which is
the most innovative shooter I've played in years.
As all these challenges are opening up and the game suddenly starts to demand you to go to speedrun runs of the game, which is extremely hard to do that. With the time slowdown, it's actually pretty easy. But then after you're done with this kind of speed run, where you can actually take your time, the game says like, okay, now we do this whole thing in real time, and even if you stand still and time stops, the timer is still ticking, and then the game gets really, really unforgiving. But I like a challenge, and the game still gives me one, that is absolutely certain. Apart from that, I have also started, which is not a PC game, I started to play Xenoblade Chronicles again, which was I don't usually like JRPGs, but I bought this game back in 2012 for the Wii, and now I'm playing the 3DS remake because I absolutely adore this game, and I wasn't like, I don't really need this game for the 3DS, but it's Xenoblade Chronicles, I love it, so I need to have it, and now I'm replaying it on the 3DS.
I've got a lot of games like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and additionally, I'm also been playing the prototype version of Overload.
Really?
Yes, I've been playing that. And if you guys don't know what Overload is, now Overload is you guys know I'm a huge that's why I need to plug this here right now. I'm a huge fan of Descent. I'm working on the source port as well, and the original developers of Descent now got back together and are making a new game very much in the fashion of Descent called Overload. And they're currently on Kickstarter. They're trying to push that. They're just like 19 hours away from it, and they still need around $50,000. It's really not 60,000. I'm not entirely
56,
sure.
and 17 hours to go.
56.
All right.
I see.
All right.
That sounded like a live update there, Senteria.
Yeah. No, it's great. And yeah, it's gonna be really, really close. But I really hope that they can do that. So yeah, if there's people in the chat right now that are fans of Descent, I highly encourage you to check out the Kickstarter. I see Darksaber has posted it right there. You can also go to playoverload.com, and yes, you can download the prototype version. If you're not certain if you want to back this game, you can download the prototype even if you haven't backed the game yet. They have put on the prototype for everybody, so you can download it, you can play it, you can check it out. And as a fan of Descent, I gotta say, what they have done already, that it really feels and looks absolutely fantastic, gotta say. And yeah, I spent way too much time with this little prototype that has like barely half an hour of playtime in it so far. But they added like also a challenge mode where robots just keep coming and you can basically just play until you die. And I spent way too much time in that already.
Oh, excellent stuff. That sounds really good. I'm
It's so
interested.
very pretty.
Does it look good? Is it visually nice?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's.
from what I see.
I would say like for a game that initially came out in '95, Descent was sometimes a little bit creepy because it was dark. You had robots that were surprising you, with loud sounds and
It
whatnot.
was.
Yeah, and they don't really try to catch on to these kind of like sound jump scares, but they really try to make this game also a little bit creepy in terms of atmosphere. So if you check out the screenshots and also the videos and the playable teaser, you can see that they really have created a very, very dense atmosphere in this game. The play of light and shadow is just very fantastic, and which if you have like a robot flying in front of a light source, you can see the shadow cast, and it's really a little bit creepy, and it's a very cool atmosphere they have created for just a very simple prototype, gotta say. Yeah,
Excellent. I'm interested. I'm interested.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I like it. You filled exceptionally well.
Yeah, I mean,
whilst I was faffing around with Skype, you did admirable, and also made me want to play Overload as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 17 hours left, and I have to do everything to make sure that I get the word out as much as I can. I'm sorry, I can't prevent it. I have to do this. It's my mission. It's my duty.
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. We're all here to support you. You're among friends. Don't worry about it. It's a safe place.
Oh well.
Okay, so let's have a talk about what has been released this week. I'm going to do a format change because that's what I do on an ad hoc basis, and we're flying by the seat of our pants. Essentially, I'm going to read out what has been released this week, just so people are aware of it, and then we're essentially going to talk about whatever we know about. So there's not going to be any of these sections, and some people on the forums and some people have rightly pointed out there are sections where you guys just kind of, and I include myself in this, where we kind of talk about stuff that we're trying to talk about things that we don't really understand. If we don't know something, we don't have to talk about it. I don't want it to feel like we're forced to talk about games that we don't play or haven't played, that sort of thing. That's absolutely fine. So I'm going to list what's been released this week. So essentially, we have Elven Legacy Collection by 1C Publishing. We have DLC for Hard West, which is called Scars of Freedom. I'm actually genuinely interested in that. We have Into the Stars, obviously, by Fugitive Games and Iceberg Interactive. We have Shard Light by Wadjet Eye Games. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Moon Hunters, which I want to talk about, by Kitfox Games. Block Hood by the one and only Devolver Digital. And some game called Sword of the Stars Complete Collection. I don't know. Don't know what that is. So yeah, I want to talk first about Moon Hunters because I looked at it. I looked at all of them because I'm actually starting to do research now. And the first thing, I was interested because it looks like kind of an action RPG game, and then suddenly I saw up to 4-player co-op, and I was like, what? Yeah. And then I heard that some people may have played this on stream, and I may have missed this stream. I'm going to have to go back and check the tapes. So
I watched it.
Sorry?
I actually watched it the whole stream, and it looks super awesome. And I'm like, it's still on coming soon. Actually, it's supposed to be released today.
Oh, well, goodness me!
It was a pre-release stream. That's true.
Pre-release stream. Well, certainly. Oh, they do release it on GOG.
Well,
we've streamed it
can
now.
confirm that this game really is great in multiplayer.
Right. Were you involved in the multiplayer stream, Croxxx?
Yes, I was.
Excellent stuff.
I actually played this today. Yeah.
Talk to me whilst I eat sweets on stream. Come on.
Well,
tell me about Moon Hunters. What was it like?
What was it like? It's difficult to describe. So, all issues aside, this game is just what I would call highly addictive, at least for me. I see myself and probably some friends chained to my chairs playing this for a long time. Basically, you have a party of up to 4 players, or you can also play this single player. Yeah, Dark Saber also pointed it already out in chat. I was the glorious leader of the party today. Well,
Brilliant.
that was sort of an
tell the
interesting
tale, my
coincidence. That was an interesting coincidence, I'd call it. But yeah, I was the party
accidental
leader for some
leader.
reason. Basically, you have your 4 players. You have different player classes, so each has a set of own abilities and traits and things. So I have played the Witch, I think it was called, which basically can do some slicing attack and shoot lasers. I don't know where those lasers came from, but I can shoot lasers. That's awesome.
Gosyam, because reasons.
Because reasons, yeah, exactly. Because reasons, I can shoot lasers. That's just perfectly fine. Anyway, you go exploring on. I think we talked about this. I guess it is randomly generated. I'm not sure to what extent the environment is randomly generated. If it's just tile-based or completely random, I don't know. But it differs in each playthrough. And there are objects in the world you can interact with, like some sort of healing shrines and villages and people in those villages who have funny side quests. To be honest, I did not quite play the game to the fullest extent yet, so I did not have the time to actually play this for several hours now, so I'm not perfectly informed how it's later in the game, but so far from what I've seen, it seems like a very solid cooperative experience. And basically, I think it's also mentioned here. Yeah, it's mentioned also on the GOG page of the game. They describe it as a 1 to 4 player co-op personality test RPG.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. What does that actually mean?
What does that actually mean? That means that your actions, and be it only sleeping at night in your camp, affect your personality traits. So for sleeping, I got a bonus on attack damage and charisma, which made me, ironically, the group leader the next day.
So you fell asleep, you woke up, and you were just I'm the leader now.
Yeah, I went to sleep, and the other 3 went like, I don't know, one did cooking, the other one did stargazing, and another one whatever. And they all 3 gained a bonus on foolishness for that.
Also hunting.
Yeah, hunting. Yeah, right. Hunting it was. No, that was bravery, I think. But yeah. So I can imagine the very funny situations just coming from that. And yes, it looked very promising in that regard.
The music is also super great on that game. I was listening to it being played. I'm like, oh, I might just buy this game just for the soundtrack alone because it's so beautiful.
Yes, it is. It really is. I opened the main menu and had something else running in the background, and I was confused. Where's that music coming from? And then I noticed, oh, it's the game. And then I basically just sat in front of my PC for 7 minutes and listened to the game music of the main menu. Okay.
Yeah, but that's great.
That's
you know,
good.
sometimes there are a lot of games where you're like, oh yeah, that music is cool, and I have it as a soundtrack, and then I listen to it. It's like, yeah, for the game it's cool, but you know, it's not really fun to listen to that music outside of the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, if
true.
the game does that you sit down and you just listen to the music, that speaks for the music, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
indeed.
absolutely.
Also, Dark Saber just confirmed in chat, at completion, you actually get a write-up about the type of character you were. So yeah, your actions influence your characters, what
You
you're
get a
known
psych
for.
eval at the end of it.
Yeah, sort of. you get what you tell people, yeah. No, basically, you can interact with people and do things, and that affects your reputation and, I don't know, yeah, your character statistics, and that's summed up at the end of the game.
Nice.
So yeah, it seems like fun. I'll definitely play this again.
There you go.
Lots.
For someone who members of the stream team, we openly admit that the games we play, we play lots of different games, right? Just as streamers in general, you play lots of different games and you play them for a couple of hours at a time, especially on the GOG channel. And sometimes you either can't go back to games that you think are okay, or you don't want to play those games again, like me with Sheltered 2, that sort of thing. But it's really nice when you sort of say to yourself, yes, I'm definitely going to find time to play this. That's a really good recommendation, I think.
It will happen. It will involve lots of people that are dragged into my room and forced to play this with me.
Well, that sounds slightly dangerous, to be perfectly honest with you. That sounds like you're going to start abducting people off the street. Just go out with a gun and you're just like, play this game with me!
Yeah, pretty much. Nah, but really, I'm looking forward to playing this game with my friends, so yeah.
Just like to know that any charges brought against the Crocs in the coming weeks or months are not affiliated with GOG.com in any way, shape or form. We're not accessories to this.
I don't know, TheCroxxx, have you played the game later after the stream in single player as well? Would you say like, it's better in single player, or it's definitely better in multiplayer, or it's not worth to play single player? What would you say if you have played both modes so far?
Unfortunately, I have not found the time to play this in single player yet because I had other things to do with the stream. So no, sorry, I can't.
From what I saw on the stream, though, I think the biggest charm is in multiplayer. Single player is still okay and fun, but the real charm is in multiplayer, in my opinion, from what I could see in the stream.
You basically have to do a voting on dialogue options. So if you have 4 players, every player can vote for an option. Sometimes there's 2 options, sometimes 3, and yeah, that's basically the most votes win, and that sort of could end up funny, I guess. But yeah, I think as with many games like that, I think it's a better experience in multiplayer, but that's just my opinion. I can't tell for sure yet. I might change that.
Yeah. It is subject to change. Your opinion is subject to change depending on how much more you play this game. No, that's completely understandable. So yeah, that's Moon Hunters by Kitfox Games. Now, it's not currently available on GOG, but we have done a stream of it recently, so, chances are pretty good that it's going to be coming out soon. Another one I'm interested in is Block Hood. Now I think somebody streamed Block Hood.
Yeah, Mega Pieman did.
Mega Pieman streamed Block Hood. I watched the trailer of it, and it literally it looks like almost like a high-rise building simulator where you've got to build like a neighborhood, and it confuses the hell out of me. I don't understand what you actually have to do with it. I don't know if anybody else has seen it or anything like that. If not, that's fine. We'll move on.
I saw unfortunately I had to jump on and off the stream a lot. I saw like half an hour, the last half hour of it, and I gotta say personally, I liked what I've seen. I think it still needs a little bit of polish. It's still games in development.
Yeah,
it's on my wish list, and as soon as it comes out of games in development, I think I'm gonna buy this game because I wouldn't say it's like SimCity. It's more like I think Mega Pieman himself compared it to like a little bit like these Judge Dredd megacities, what you're gonna build there, because this city block which you're building there, and you build it vertically pretty much. Yeah. And yeah.
I say
it looks very interesting, and I like the art style. And from what I've seen, it's what I said earlier about Into the Stars. It looks like a game with game mechanics I can deal with, in the long run. Because unfortunately, I managed to keep up with SimCity 2000, but after that, with SimCity 4 later, I was like, nope, this is just too overwhelming. And this looks like a game I could maybe do, but I think I'm definitely gonna wait until it comes out of development.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is currently as part of the in-dev initiative that GOG.com have got running. So any games that are currently in development that have been curated by GOG, obviously to make people aware of it again, they are also on the service as well. I think it's weird. I clicked on it. I went to it immediately because Devolver Digital was involved, and they've got kind of this Midas touch thing going on recently where any game they kind of have involvement with seems to be really, really good. And I don't know if they just sort of look at these games and sort of go, yep, we want in on that. Let's give you a lot of money and let's talk. You know, here's an envelope full of cash.
Yeah, they definitely have a good catch for games right now. Devolver is almost always win. I don't know how they do it.
No, neither do I. They always seem very similar as well. But
I think they're just gamers that recognize good games instead of just businessmen, and then say like, yeah, we need that because it's awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's probably going to be one of those games that if it is cheap enough, I will probably take a punt on it just because of who is publishing it, basically. And I'll sort of go, if it's bad, then I'll sort of go, well, not so bad, you know, that sort of thing. But also the fact that it's gone through the curation process of GOG, I kind of, I don't know, even if I'm not seeing what the pull is and what the angle is, I think it's going to be a case of I'll just sort of, it's gone through 2 layers of almost quality assurance, if that makes sense. So it's gone through GOG and it's by Devolver Digital.
Yeah,
I don't know. It kind of it reinforces the thought that it is going to be good. Anyway, moving swiftly on, unless anybody wants to talk about Blockhood a bit more. I'll take your silence as a no.
I could add to the game. I don't know more about it, but it looks interesting. Yeah.
No, it does. It really does. Obviously, another one that looks interesting is Into the Stars, which we were talking to the developer Ben Jones about earlier on.
Yeah.
I think, is it Shardlight by Wadjet Games? I had a quick look at this earlier today. I don't know if anybody else has seen it or knows about it. But
I've seen it.
You've seen it,
I've done a pre-release stream of it.
Did you? Oh,
you did.
Talk me through it. I do apologise. I'm not catching up on VODs as much as I used to. I used to watch all of them, but now we've got like 3,700 StreamTeam members. It's difficult.
Yeah, I guess so. So, shall I explain what that's about, or?
Yeah, please do, please.
Okay, so Shardlight.
Yep.
Okay, now you got me going. So, Shardlight is a point-and-click adventure game, a classic in that regard. It's really a point-and-click adventure set in a post-apocalyptic world, I'd call that. A description says in the first sentence, the world ended on the day the bombs fell. So, that's basically the whole premise for the game, the whole art style and setting. It is post-apocalyptic, it's dark, it is... well, I didn't finish it yet, so I cannot say if it's also... I don't know, but it seems interesting. It
sounds like you're being very evasive. You're just like, I want to say stuff, but I don't want to spoil things, so I'll just go,
Yeah,
it's very...
It is. It's always the matter with point-and-click adventures, because if you tell too much, you spoil it for others.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think the voice acting is pretty good.
Yes.
Is it?
That's one thing to absolutely point out. The voice acting is really, really good in these. And basically, to wrap up the plots, you play Amy Wallard.
Yep.
Who is, I don't know, who caught some sort of disease. I think it's called green lung. I don't know what it's exactly about. I didn't find out yet in the amount I played it yet. But well, there is apparently a cure for that, and you have a 2-class society, and the higher class lets the lower class work and promises them tickets for lottery for the cure. So they don't give it to them directly, they just offer them a chance in the lottery for it, which is an interesting thing at least. But yeah, it is definitely has a very awesome art style. It is pixelated, hand-drawn backgrounds, which is apparently common with Wedget Eye games. Because if you think about Technobabylon and the Blackwall
That's
series,
what they did.
Yep.
that's what they did, yeah.
I knew the
okay.
name.
Well, yeah. Wedget Eye, as far as I know, they mostly publish point-and-click adventures, but from what I have seen here, I'm not entirely sure if they actually developed this. I know that they developed the Blackwall series, but I'm not sure about Charlight here. So yeah, basically yes, it's a pixelated point-and-click adventure, and if you like point-and-click adventures, it is definitely a recommendation. It is really, really good.
Cool.
That's just my two cents.
Yeah, and what I would like to add is I saw a little bit of footage of it. I actually saw a review of it by our chat member Amirat Akago. He posted a review of this game on his YouTube channel. So if you guys are interested, you can probably find that if you ask him if he's there. And what I really liked about this game is like, you know, he opened that and it's like, okay, it's post-apocalyptic world. And the first thing I immediately noticed was like, okay, it's going to be like Fallout. But it's not. It's not. I think they went much more down to earth. So there is no super mutants. There is no red scorpions. There is no outlandish, whatever, radiation, mutation stuff going on.
No
It's
crazy
more,
zombies up to now.
Yeah, I would say it's more like a rather realistic portrayal of a end world scenario where, you know, where technology is distributed to the upper class, or, you know, those people that still have some power after the apocalypse, and, you know, you have the lower class that pretty much goes back to farm work pretty much. And yeah, I would say that that's personally something I like, you know, not using post-apocalyptic scenarios for wasteland science fiction, but just, you know, staying on Earth pretty much.
Yeah, it's basically just a dystopian vision of future, you could call it. What would happen, or what could happen if there, I don't know, is some sort of nuclear war, and then the aftermath of that. So yeah. It's sort of realistic.
Yeah, sort of realistic. Yeah.
No crazy stuff in there.
No. I mean, compared to Fallout, which is, you know, in terms of post-apocalyptic, you know, the standard nowadays, pretty much.
Yeah.
Thanks to Bethesda. Yeah, because
Super
Fallout
mutants,
4
horrible
is
things, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's not what you're gonna have in this game, as far as I know.
So it's very sort of like realistic threats. Then it's more disease, random encounters with survivors and scavengers, that sort of thing.
Well, it's a point-and-click adventure after all, so that's of course limited.
Hey, there was a lot of violence in Broken Sword. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, okay, no, I do not I do not question that, but it is of course limited as for this genre, I'd call it. And I met some pretty interesting cultists already, so that could get interesting. I mean, there are people who worship death. I like that. That's cool.
There are people who worship death. I like
that. Yeah, and they won't let me
2016.
into their cathedral because I did not embrace death yet. I have to work on that.
It started to sound like fan fiction for Planescape Torment. What's going on? Sorry, you can't come in. Why? You don't worship death. Oh, okay. Well, I worship death. Oh, well, you can come in then. Come on in. Have a cup of death.
I tried that. It didn't work.
You tried lying to them.
Yeah, I tried.
Oh, dearie me. Right, so yeah, point-and-click adventure games. Point-and-click adventure games have always got a special place in my heart because they just have. In all fairness, they were one of the first few games that really sort of caught my interest. So it's probably gonna be one of those ones. I'll definitely wishlist it. I'll probably buy it if it's cheap enough or it comes on sale. That sort of thing. And
on that note, especially for Tikenji, who already poked me in chat about it before, you might know that I do an adventure series on my own channel, and I don't know if this will ever come to GG. Maybe it will. But yes, it will continue. and it very likely will continue with Starlight. So yeah.
Oh, excellent stuff. There you go. GOGCast exclusive. I'm definitely going to have to get that made. So moving on to some of the other games we've got. I have absolutely no idea what Elven Legacy Collection is, if anybody else does.
Unfortunately, didn't really hear much of it and didn't really check it out yet.
No,
I have to visit the shop page because the title sounds familiar. I thought we talked about this in the last podcast. Was it? I don't know. Okay, no, you did it.
Did we?
Looks very interesting though. I've been contemplating it.
Yeah.
Since I'm also Age of Wonders fan, so.
No, it does seem like that sort of title, I must admit. But I mean, if people haven't played it or don't know much about it, then don't worry about it too much. We don't. Like I said, it's not the lore that we have to talk about every single game. Just make people aware what has been released recently on GOG. Another one, there's some DLC for Hard West called Scars of Freedom. Now, Hard West is a weird one. I always feel like it's the sort of game I should really be into, but I haven't played it yet, and it's one of those weird games where I feel if I start playing it, then I don't think I'll stop for ages. And I know that sounds horrendously first world problemsy. I know, but it is that you get that feeling, don't you? You get that feeling where you're like, I don't want to play that. Why don't you want to play it? Because it's going to be a real time. It's going to be a really good game. You don't want to give yourself that, do you?
Unfortunately, I haven't played it myself because for me, this is kind of like a game where I watch the stream and, usually after a stream, I know either the game is something for me or it's not. But with this, I'm still like, this could be fun, but it could also be, a lot of waste of money for me. Yeah, those kind of like the odd games. Into the Stars is a little bit like that as well. And, so I'm still kind of waiting for a sale on the game, like a really, really big sale. So, so the game won't be so hard on my wallet in case I didn't like it,
Yeah.
So, Hard West, I don't know, could you guys give me a hint here? It looks like it's some sort of, I don't know, Victor Run or, how is it called? Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, it seems like me. So, what is this actually? Is this action RPG or
Hard West? Essentially, the way I kind of have it in my head, and I might be wrong about this. I'm completely happy to be wrong, most of the time. Is imagine if you had Wild West, but with like supernatural creatures. So that's the setting. But the gameplay style is in the style of XCOM.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I have to take a look at that.
Exactly. It sounds real interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got me intrigued. I'll check it out.
Too many sweets. I'm sorry. It does. No, it genuinely sounds interesting, and the fact that there is still DLC coming out for it, because we've got a couple now, I think, on GOG.com. If I have a really quick look, because I'm super professional. So we've got Hard West and Hard West Scars of Freedom, but you also got the collector's pack as well if you wanted to buy that. I don't know if there's any sort of season pass or anything like that. That's possibly a thing. I'm not 100% sure, but I get the impression that DLC, and this not a slight on the developers at all, I get the impression that DLC would be quite easy because you're not, I don't know, it feels like you'd only have to change a few things like story, textures, characters, models, that sort of thing. That the mechanics are what people kind of play it for, if that makes sense. But that's just me. I've not played it, so there you go. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, it seems at least partially for like a game you definitely have to try out yourself.
No, absolutely. I'm in the same boat as yourself, Memories. I'm waiting for it to come down a little bit more in price. I just like a bargain. To be perfectly honest with you, I've kind of conditioned myself to pay as little as I possibly can for video games these days.
That's normal. Everybody expects you to do that.
Yeah. I'm just conditioned now. Like, it used to be a case of, ooh, £30 for a video game. I can just about stretch to that. Now it's, ooh, £3.50 for a video game. Maybe, don't know. Wait till it comes down in the sale.
Yeah. 90% off. Well, I can't
Surely
wait
there
till
will be
it's
95.
95% off. Yeah, pretty much.
Uh,
And it's like, oh shit, now it's 99% off. Oh my god, I could have saved 3 more cents on that.
Yeah,
Shit.
exactly.
we
I
just-
feel
Where's
so
the
ruined.
refund button? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. When now how fast that developed. A few years ago, it was normal to play much more for games.
Oh no,
It's weird.
Absolutely. I'm starting to do it with the PlayStation as well. I know this is going off topic in regards to PC games, but I'm starting to do it with the PlayStation 4. I go on the PlayStation 4 store, and if a game is more than £10, I'm in real turmoil whether or not I even consider it. It could be a game I really want, but if it's more than £10 and it's not what I would consider to be a AAA title, I'm just like, no, not going to happen. I'll wait until the next round of sales come up. It's bound to be on sale then. That sort of thing. I'm just, I feel like a bit of a terrible human being, but I don't know. I just like a bargain.
I wonder where all this sales mentality. I mean, I think I spoke about this in a few streams of mine already. I wonder where this all leads. I don't really know if that's too good for the industry in the long shot, but we probably have to see about this.
Turns us into mindless bargain hunters. Sorry, Senteria,
Yeah.
we've horribly been interrupting you. Carry on.
No, but I was looking at my wish list, and almost all the games I have in my wish list are above €10. So it's like if it's above €10, I'm like, I'm gonna wait for a sale or something. Unless it's like, I immediately love it, then I just buy it.
No, absolutely.
Okay, actually, I caught a question on chat.
Oh,
it is by Tikangia. It was a minute ago. Where does it start? Here it is. He asks, how much money do I have to throw at the screen for someone to do a full series playthrough of the Space Quest and King's Quest games?
That was more you, wasn't it?
Space Quest
is
may
there
actually
anyone of us interested in those games?
Space Quest may actually be subject for Space Night. Probably.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, no, it's. I have a lot of games on my list, and Space Quest is, as suggested by Tikangia, in last Space Night, Space Quest, the Space Quest series is on it. Yes.
Excellent.
Okay,
cool.
So Tikangia, that's your answer. I don't exactly know what those games are, but it looks like it could be just my genre, so it might happen. No promises.
Watch this space.
It may
Get
happen.
it,
Yeah, watch this space for updates. Follow me on Twitter.
So I'm gonna do Space Quest, and you're gonna do the King's Quest series.
Yeah, okay, that's a deal.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, these are kind of. I think these are kind of games that are a little bit underrepresented on the channel right now. I know Aaron plays. Aaron is playing the Monkey Island series, as far as I see on Thursdays, I think.
I think so.
But apart from that, there wasn't really much. I think Retrograde Tom did play. What was that? The Journeyman series, which also was kind of like adventure-like. Police Quest. We had that as well. True. Mega Pieman. Good timing, Pieman. But yeah, we need more of that, I think.
Okay, so yeah, maybe I'll give it a try.
There you go. Watch
I'm
this
definitely
space.
gonna look into the games. I'm definitely gonna look into them.
Okay, cool. So that was Hard West that we were talking about.
Yes.
Originally.
We went over that
huge
stunningly.
Yeah. The only other one we've got, other than Elven Legacy Collection, which is what we were originally talking about, is Sword of the Stars: The Complete Collection. Now, I'm a big fan of Sword of the Stars. It was my first game streamed here on GOG.com's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/GOGcom, which you would know because you're watching the live broadcast. But if you're not and you're listening to the audio-only version, available on soundcloud.com/GOGcom or on youtube.com/GOGcom, Then there you go. There's the link in order to check out the live broadcast. Yes. So, Sword of the Stars is a roguelike. It's a roguelike. There you go. It's a roguelike RPG, and it's really enjoyable, and you should definitely check it out. And I've just checked the price of Sword of the Stars complete collection. It's £3.50. Convert that into your own currency. I work in real
Which
money.
is around €4.50.
€4.50. Gonna wait for the next sale there.
It's already 50% off.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh wait, Megapan may be telling me that I'm wrong. I may have got that wrong. Give me a second. I'll double check. Sword of the Stars. Let's have a quick look. But yeah, I played it when I first started here, and I played it kind of by accident, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm kind of glad I did, because it was really super enjoyable, and I keep going back to it every now and then. No, it's 49% off right now, which is £3.49. So hopefully, that's the complete collection of Sword of the Stars. So yeah, I think it's a. I just like. I don't know. There's really something about it that I just. It tickles a part of my brain. I don't know what it is, but I didn't think I'd enjoy it when I first started playing it, and I started playing it, and now I've been playing it on and off since I started here. So that's got to be a good thing, right? Either that, or it's like becoming an addict.
Chet just told you that there's two things called Sword of the Stars. Yeah, Sword of the
Yeah,
Stars.
it's a whole series.
Oh goodness, have I got the wrong game?
You got one of the games out of the series.
Have I?
There seems to be strategy involved in the other games as well.
Oh dearie me. Right, well, okay, ignore me then, I'm just being stupid. Anyway, yeah, the one I played, the Sword of the Stars that I played ages and ages ago is really good. There you go. Okay,
Yeah, it's like
so-
if you look for Sword of the Stars, you find a lot of games on
Oh, you
this.
do, don't you? I may have just seen the title and just assumed it was that one, because obviously video games never share the same title.
Yeah, that looks like a full strategy game, and if I
Oh,
just
you're
look
kidding!
at this, I noticed that's why I don't play. You know, it's even a 4X as far as I see.
Oh, it
there.
is!
And
It is
that's
a
oh
4X
my
game.
god! You know, these are the games that fry my brain.
I
It's
can't get
like-
into 4. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't get into
Is it
4X
4X?
games.
I don't want to say anything. I think I saw it somewhere. 4X. Let me see. I don't want to say something wrong. I'm sure. Yeah, Sword of Stars is one of these few 4X games. And I'm out. First review, I'm gonna see that. I was like, nope. I'm sorry. I would love to. I know a lot of people in chat would love to see more strategy games there. I really understand that, and I like strategy games. I mean, I played the Dungeon Keeper series, and those are like strategy games, right? But it's like the maximum I can do in terms of strategy.
Yeah.
Everything else just is a.
Yeah, the only strategy games I actually enjoy is Age of Wonders series.
Yeah.
Or it has to be an RPG with a tactical thing, but then it's not really a strategy game.
Yeah. Hacker4748 has just asked, what does roguelike mean? Roguelike is basically a subgenre of games where it's normally, I want to say procedurally generated, but it's randomly generated.
Well,
isn't it?
technically, the modern roguelike games aren't really roguelike games. To answer this question in full, there was the game called Rogue.
Indeed.
And it was a dungeon crawler. It had a randomly generated world. It had a permadeath function, and that is basically what nowadays defines these kind of games. You know, since the Binding of Isaac, which was kind of like a dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
It had permadeath and it had randomly generated worlds, but nowadays it's just permadeath, randomized. Whoa, it's a roguelike. It's actually more of a roguelite, if you will, or as I like to call them, randomized permadeath machines. It doesn't really, you know.
That's a catchy name.
Yeah. It's a show on my personal Twitch channel, twitch.tv/memoriesand8bit. Anyway, no, but the further we go away from the original Rogue, the less these games have something in common with Rogue, and so calling them roguelike is a little bit far-fetched.
It is. It's a term that's thrown around quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very watered down, I would say, to say the least. So I like to say roguelite or roguelite-like or whatever. Roguelike-like is, you
Yeah,
you can't go
roguelike
further.
is that's
It's
normally
basically you progress by dying.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, basically. Okay, so what else have we got? Short of my colossal cock up with the Sword of the Stars. Sword of the Stars, whatever version you get, they're all going to be good games. Don't worry about it. I think that's pretty much it. To be perfectly honest with you.
Did you cover the interactive adventures of Doc Mendonça and Pizza Boy?
The
I'm not
what?
sure.
Sorry?
Didn't that
Like a
get
Payment
released?
played that game.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
History.
Let's talk about that.
That just
I'm
appeared
just
out
giving a
of
list.
nowhere. That appeared out of nowhere. It wasn't actually on our release list, which is why it was streamed so late.
That was probably why I
Behind the
haven't got it
scenes.
then.
Yeah,
That's
no,
probably why I
it
haven't got
just
it.
showed up. It just showed up, and yeah, it's also kind of like a adventure game,
Yep.
but I didn't see much of it. I didn't see
Actually
much.
saw Mega Payment play it.
Yeah.
Which game are we talking about here?
Doc Mendonça.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah, that one.
It has a little girl that is apparently a 3,000-year-old demon.
Yep.
And Chainsmoker.
Yep.
Yeah, and a chain smoker, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It's
Wait,
very
what is,
wacky.
what is this game called?
The interactive adventures of Doc Mendonça and Pizza Boy, all rights reserved.
Okay, cool. Let's try and find it.
Yeah, if you go to GOG.com and to the news section, it's like the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth entry on the news section.
The interactive adventures of Dog Mendoka and Pizza Boy. That sounds amazing. Why haven't I heard of this?
The animation is really smooth. It looks really
Is
pretty.
it?
Yeah, it's very comic-like, the whole game.
Yeah, no, it looks it. It looks really good. People should definitely check this out. Yeah, if you go onto GOG.com and just use the search function and search for The Interactive, you'll get it straight away. It's the only one.
It reminds me a bit like...
Oh, 6,000 years. I'm sorry, I misjudged. You see, I tried to charm the young lady for only being 3,000 years old. Now you're all like, no, she's much older. You know what kind of, she's a demon lady. You wanna get on that, chat? My God, no, the lady is much older. You guys, you should know. You shouldn't do that.
The game is actually reminding me a lot of Monkey Island. I'm breaking the fourth wall and stuff.
Yeah, it looked like it had some interesting humor in it.
I put it on my wish list after I get done through a lot of games.
Yeah, you can go on the wish list, but there's a lot of stuff to play on your wish list first, and it's gonna stay above. It's gonna go below that €10 mark, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's right now it's 10% off for €17.99 or your dollar equivalent.
Yeah.
Or pound equivalent.
Pound. But that's in the
Yeah,
UK.
my wish list is way too big right now. Dear God. So yeah, I'm careful with what I add to my wish list.
Yeah, me too.
I'm reckless, completely and totally reckless. So I think we should spend a little bit of time talking about what games we've been playing recently. Now, I know Mr. Moves in 8-bit has already gone through the games that he's been playing recently. I'm interested to know what the magnanimous Mr. Senteria has been playing recently.
Alright, I have one game that I can't really talk about, which is Stardew Valley, but the other game I've played this week...
Hey, you can talk about it if you want. I'll just have to cut you off and sever your mic if you...
yeah, just mute my mic and...
We've only got 15 minutes.
I played it at like non-stop and basically lost control of my life with that. But I've been doing recently is I stream its Origin every week on a Sunday on my channel, and I'm trying to play through the It games, and that's what I've been playing. It's a really great game, the It series. It's basically like I don't know. Have you guys seen It? It was streamed this week actually.
Yeah, Toxicoid streamed it. Our guest streamer.
How
Yeah,
exciting.
basically, yeah.
I forget about guest streamers. I forget about mentioning people like our guest streamers and special celebrity guests. I'll have to start doing that actually.
what
You
I
know,
really
she
like.
was only here once, and she also played Secret Hitler with us last weekend.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So what I actually really like about the Ish game is the Ish series is that the boss fights, they are like pretty tough to beat, and you always have to die like twice, 3 times, maybe 5 times, but you always proceed just a bit further, you get them down the HP, and eventually you find the trick and aha, I beat it. And that's what I really love about the games. It's like tough, but not undoable, or normal, I have to say. I mean, you have 3 difficulties above that, and I'm not touching that at all.
Oh, excellent.
And,
What have you been playing? Have you been playing much else?
what else? I think I recently started up Worms or Walls Party. Matt was streaming the first Worms, and I'm like, actually, I'm gonna make my own Worms team now. And then I made a StreamTeam, and I made my own team and a StreamTeam on the computer. And I was like, well, I have to beat them, so I just went there.
So
played by
you spend
myself.
your so basically what you're saying is you spent your free time killing the stream team. Is that what you want to say?
A bit, yeah. I think I put members in 8-bit, Parin, Jade, Outstar, and who else? I put 4 in, I forgot the 4th.
Don't kill me, please.
There you go.
Like
There you go.
the pillar stones of the community.
Good Game of Worms is always welcome. I must admit, it's one of those timeless games you can always play, really, isn't it?
It's ageless.
Yeah. I mean, there are some hit and miss ones, but by and large, they're all pretty bang on. Let's have a good look. Tikanjia has got a question. It says, question if you have time, how far in advance do you schedule one-off streams, like non-regular series? Do you know more than 1 week ahead what you're preparing for stream-wise? I haven't streamed for a while, to be perfectly honest, and mine are very ad hoc, so I'm going to sort of open this up to the floor.
Well, it really depends. If you're gonna stream a promo or a release game, you know, we all know that releases sometimes get delayed. So and you know, it really depends when the release will show up on our lists and how far ahead we can plan. But if it's just a normal game where you're gonna say like, oh, I'm gonna play this, you can plan that ahead as much as you like. And if there's like an interesting release in between, you can just swap games. Like Retro City Rampage, which I played before I went to break, I was like, I had that in mind to play for a month or something like that. You know, I always wanted to do that, and yeah, I just put it in there. And you know, there have been times where I was scheduling 2 months ahead, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then there are times I'm just scheduling for the next week. It really depends on, you know, what kind of ideas you have, what you really want to do, or you know, by now I'm just working with you guys here in chat. You know. Yeah, just like, again, coming back to Retro City Rampage, where I say like, oh, I had a lot of fun. Should we do another stream of that? And you know, guys, you wanted that, so I'm gonna go back to Retro City Rampage, and that's a lot of fun too. So yeah,
no, absolutely. What about yourself, Crocs?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, my streams are sometimes organized. So I usually prepare quite well for my series, like Prince of Persia here. And yeah, that's quite well planned. But when it comes to spontaneous streams for gaps in the schedule, it can happen that I decide, no idea, like 30 to 45 minutes before the actual time slot to do that. So yeah. It depends, and I think it's sort of random a little.
Yeah, I think it depends is probably the best answer, really. I've gone for streams where it's been released that day, that morning, and I put my name down for it. And even games that we didn't know about, and they'll pop up. I mean, we're going back a ways. We get a lot of information directly from publishers. We get a lot of information directly from GOG, but sometimes that information either doesn't come from the source or it doesn't filter down quite as fast. But basically, as soon as it comes from publishers to whoever, we kind of have visibility of it. So it's a case of as soon as GOG kind of know, we kind of know, so we can try and plan things. But sometimes, I mean, you know, The Interactive Adventures of Dogman Doku and Pizza Boy, prime example. That kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
someone had to sort of go, oh, there's a new game out. Why not? I'll check it out. So Pieman sort of jumped straight into it. But I've been in a position where, I've been on the bus on the way home from my day job, and I've not really known. I've had a one-off stream where I'm just like, I'm going to play a game. I'm going to play a game on the release stream, the release list, that sort of thing. And I've chosen it, 10 minutes before I've been playing it, or I've been downloading it
Happens.
the minute I get home, that sort of stuff. And it's been downloaded as I've then hit, start stream. So I suppose it all really depends.
Yeah.
We are rapidly running out of time, so I just want to.
We are.
We are. I just want to ask the TheCroxxx really, really quickly. What have you been playing recently?
Okay. I have been prepared for that. I have been waiting for this question.
Again, we are running out of time. I cannot.
Yeah, go. No, I keep it short. So, in the last few days or weeks, I have discovered my addiction for a game called Risk of Rain, which is also available on GOG. I have played
Great
this
game.
with a friend of mine, and I am thinking of doing a stream of it, multiplayer. So
Great game.
yeah, it's Risk of Rain. So what can you basically tell about it? You walk through a level, you search for a teleporter, you try not to get killed.
Yeah.
With really, you have to highlight the word try, because this game is hard. If you don't practice it a lot, you will die a lot.
I streamed it. I went in with absolutely no practice, and it was fun.
It was. So if you're up for some sort of multiplayer for this anytime, then message me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm
I'd be
gonna
totally
check out
cool.
how that works.
There you go. The GOGCast.
So yeah,
Bringing
my
gamers
life
together.
has been ruined by Risk of Rain recently.
Oh, that's cool. That's fair enough. Mine is basically been taken up by playing Dying Light on PS4. I'm obsessed with that game, and I don't know why. I started replaying it. I played it ages ago. I played it for like a couple of hours, and then I didn't play it again. I got back into it recently, and I don't even know what the reason was, but I just started playing it, and I've just spent every evening playing that game. And I don't. It's like watching The Walking Dead. Like I'll sit there and I'll play it for a couple of hours, and even my wife, my brother-in-law, sort of turned around and said, "Oh, well, what season are we on now?" As they were watching me play it, and like we were at this big sort of final battle bit, and I was like, "Oh, we're at the season finale now, so this should be interesting." So it's always nice to sit there for a couple of hours and just play a little bit of it. But yeah, I've been killing zombies. That's what I've been doing, in brutal ways. I think that's about it. Unless anybody else wants to cover anything else off in the last couple of minutes.
I could talk about something, but
What have you got to talk about, Senteria?
I quickly want to briefly speak about Shatron. That I participated. I participated in the contest on the forums. Didn't win, unfortunately, but it looked like I had a lot of fun trying to get the highest score in that game. The demo was really interesting. I didn't think I would like it, but as I tried to get that high score, I was like, actually, this is quite engaging and very interesting to play. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
I also played a lot of it.
Yeah.
An unhealthy amount.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Right, I think we're going to start wrapping things up. So, I also noticed that somebody in chat mentioned, I apologise I didn't catch your name, I think it was Tikanjia, mentioned any updates in regards to new members of the stream team or new guests streaming for us on regular occasions. So, this isn't something that I've actually been covering recently because I don't really have full visibility of who joins the team at what times and what guests we've got coming on. But I tell you what, considering I think that's now the second or third person who's mentioned that to me, I'll probably start taking notes of who joins when and where. So I'll be bringing you guys a bit of an update in regards to, I'll just take a couple of minutes just to say if anybody's joining us, if anybody's leaving us, if anybody's streaming for us, that sort of thing. So I'll try and find that out for you. So
Toxicoid joined.
Sorry?
Toxicoid joined the regular stream team.
Oh,
believe.
excellent stuff! Oh, fantastic. Well, we'll officially announce stuff as and when we're able to, essentially. So, yeah, if anybody joins, we have special celebrity guests lined up or anything like that. I'll try and make sure that we've got that information, as well as it going around the chat room and other people's streams. We've got that information here on the GOGCast as well. So, I'd like to thank everybody. For the first hour of the show, we had Ben Jones, the development director of Into the Stars, on the show for us. You can watch the video on demand to find out all the questions that he answered. But yeah, I'd like to just thank everybody for joining me. Memories in 8-bit. We've got Senteria from the modding community, and also we've got TheCroxxx. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the same. It's always great to be here.
It was a lot of fun.
It is always a pleasure, and it is never a chore for having you. Obviously, don't forget to check out all your GOGCom related shenanigans over at GOG.com, and also type in GOGCom into all your social media outlets to all of your DRM free information. Also, don't forget to follow GOGCom Twitch on Twitter for all of your StreamTeam related information, and you can check out the GOGCast audio recordings on soundcloud.com/GOGCom. And I hope you like the layout of the page. I made that myself. Okay, cool. We're out of here. Stay tuned, because I believe Matt Cat is coming up next with another fantastic episode of his Undertale series. So we'll see you, same GOG time, same GOG channel next week. Bye, everybody. Everybody,
Bye-bye.
to your cameras. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.